Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone, depending from where you are today, and welcome to this videocast. I'm Ralph Diaz, practice leader at HFS Research, and today we will discuss about a very trendy topic, enterprise adoption of low code. It's going to be an honest, unfiltered conversation, typical HFS style, so I'm sure you're going to learn a lot and enjoy discussion between our guests. So low code is a hot topic in the market right now. I'm sure that everyone knows that about and definitely hot topic in the sense that you have software development teams starting to use low code, but also there is a big potential of citizen development, non-IT user really starting to get into the journey and being very interested on the low code in general. Low code really isn't a new concept. So we've seen many years ago the rapid application development tools, toolkits, which was a commonplace with most software development teams. But now we've seen more and more vendors really making those rapid application development tools even more visually attractive, easy to use. And as a result, really the term low code has emerged to broaden the appeal of software development to an increasingly digitally fluent business person or users. Low code is really hot for several reasons. The motives really range from challenges in attracting, retaining IT talent to really being able to quickly respond to business needs. And I think really that later part really about response velocity is really a big hot topic at the moment, specifically in the business user community. And I think really what we've heard from enterprise client also is really, and perhaps I would say the greatest competitive advantage of low code is reducing the time to market. Yes, there is a big backlog in IT that are way more focused on large and complex projects. But that backlog in many times really what we heard from business user is preventing really the business from delivering simple but much needed initiative to respond to market demands in a timely manner. And yeah, through low code, core business function with the support of applications team, operations team can potentially significantly speed up the time to market for the new apps and features. That's really what we usually hear in the market, talking to enterprise client, but also service provider really helping clients adopt low code. So we at HFS Research today, in collaboration with KPMG, are currently exploring how European organizations are grappling with low code. What are the opportunities, challenges, and more importantly, the successes around low-code initiatives? So in this session, I will be moderating a discussion between Ben Rayner, Head of Analytics and Process Optimisation at Citi Enterprise Operation and Technology, based in London, UK. Hi, Ben. Welcome to the
Thank you for having me.
I will also have Seng Yue Yau. Hopefully I pronounced it well.
Not too bad.
Head of Digital Transformation and Business Solution IT at Takeda, based in Zurich, Switzerland. Welcome to the videocast. Yo.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Rui Gonçalves, Head of Technology Consulting at KPMG, Portugal, but also Global Low Code and Automation Lead in KPMG, based in Lisbon, Portugal. Welcome, and thanks for joining, Rui.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So we'll be talking about a recent study that we did in collaboration again with KPMG, where we spoke to 15 plus technology leaders across Europe about their organization adoption of low code. And today, Ben and Yao, two of these leaders, will share their view. And again, I would say honest, transparent, unfiltered view on how low code does or actually doesn't fit into their digital journey. So I'm gonna start with you, Ben. And just maybe jump into the first question is, how does low code fit into your organization technology or software development practice in general?
Big question, but so we started on our low code journey probably back in 2015, 2016, at the point at which RPA was really starting to become a thing in the market, and people were starting to adopt it and license it. And we weren't really sure. So before that, of course, it didn't feature really, apart from in its pre-existing forms that sort of went before it. Right? So as a strategy and as an automation technology, it wasn't really part of our framework. So in the intervening period between then and now, it's really become a very integral part of our infrastructure. So it certainly doesn't solve for every problem, but I mean, as you touched on in your intro, then it gives us in certain situations a very rapid time to market to help us with certain challenges, which we then tend to take a look at automating in more strategic platforms over time, potentially, or with more platform-based low-code solutions, which I'm sure we'll come on to later on as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and over to you, Yao. What's your view on that one?
It's about the same journey what Ben has gone through. We started with RPA. We have launched a program called our Ninja program. It's basically training citizen developers on RPA. The reason why of that is that we wanted to scale up RPA not only in terms of technology but also in terms of mindset in the organization. But I guess with the development of more and more user-friendly low-code platforms, like for example Power BI and things like that, there are more and more of this low-code interest from the function itself. And one of the things that will accelerate that is because exactly of what you mentioned during the introduction just now, is that IT usually focus on the highest value projects, right? And like for example, in a business solution, usually it's more transactional, especially in a biopharmaceutical company. Is that obviously our focus is in R&D and making sure that the patient is well serviced. At the same time, some of the projects, like for example, automation RPA, is tend to get a back seat, right? Because the thing is that it's running now. Why you are doing automation? You're already hiring people, bum on seats. You're doing it, but there is a requirement from the function itself or pressure from even the top management to reduce the run cost, right? Hence, it is the idea of developing more and more or releasing more and more these low-code platforms for the users to be able to drive that home by themselves on a more strategic level for that particular function. So that's the reason why low-code become a thing, right? We even have a name for that. It's a Ninja program, right? Where everybody is trained.
Okay.
I think actually, if I can just pick up on that, I think that's a really interesting point around the different uses and applicabilities of low-code tools. Because of course, one naturally thinks of it as in a technology, as a technology, but actually, a big part of our journey has been around using it as a cultural element as well. So, firstly, sort of democratizing technology to the extent that citizen developers could then start to actually understand how to leverage technology for a very specific purpose for their own business process, for very discrete tasks. But also from an empowerment perspective as well. And when we look at reasons for attrition in the organization and retention and some of those sorts of things, and then we tend to find that people want much more variety in their roles between operational and transactional roles and technology roles, whatever else. And this is a fantastic way of actually giving people that fungibility across functions for their own career paths. And yes, of course, you have all the technology benefits too. But so yeah, I think we've definitely seen a wide range of different uses. Some more tangible than others.
And I know that Ben, during our discussion, you mentioned really that the area where you found the highest value was pretty much in usage of low code as a platform for data extraction, ingestion, and transformation. In your environment. That's where really you saw the big case versus just execution engine doing XYZ and throwing workflow here and there. It was pretty much in the data ingestion transformation, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I mean, and for us, it's very much been a journey, a learning journey. So when we started off with rules-based RPA technologies, then I think as everybody kind of knows, right, they are fantastic, but they're also limited in their usage to the extent that, you know, they'll tend to focus on fairly discrete parts of a process. And so it wasn't long before we started to understand what's now a bit of a cliche, which is that, you know, in order to make these types of technologies work across an enterprise the size of Citi, at least, which, you know, in some circumstances can be sort of 100,000 people, you know, those kind of rule-based solutions aren't going to work. So we started looking at how we can leverage the same and complementary technologies to create those data models, to normalize the data, extract it, mine it, identify it, so that actually then when you want to inject something into a low-code solution or a rules-based RPA, then of course it can actually do the job it's designed for, rather than falling over every so often and being a support nightmare.
Yep, no, absolutely. That's the big problem. Yeah. So let's come to the drivers. Yeah, talking about adoption, and a question for Rui. I mean, Rui, I know that obviously as an organization, you help enterprise clients really understand what's low code, start the journey, helping them really in the design and then the vision, even the implementation in some of your engagements. But really, what are the drivers for low code adoption in your view from enterprise clients? But also, I know that within KPMG there is a lot of low code initiatives internally, also probably to achieve the same, as an organization, better serve your clients. So a few drivers from your end, if you can just expand on that.
Okay, Ralph, thank you. I think both Ben and Yao also starts that point about what drives an organization to adopt low-code technology. Despite the fact that today low-code is an overused terminology, are being used for a lot of things. We are assisting a wide range of applications that leads to the adoption of the technology, from the more tactical ones to accelerate and to build fast some applications, some app. But we prefer to consider these new emerging technology, not so emerging, but as also been mentioned, it that starts using it since 2016. Here in KPMG, we are using low code since 2014. So it's not so emerging, but we understand that the evolution that the low code platforms are having on the last years are putting them on a very good position to be adopted, really to accelerate the digital journey from the companies. And from that perspective, it's what we understand that makes sense. Low code provides the speed, flexibility, and also the scaling capabilities. The scaling is very important. We also have the opportunity to discuss it in another meeting. We are having a huge talent warfare, global talent warfare about capabilities to build technology solutions. So low code could contribute to be a part of the solution, and will play a role on that part, because the effort to deploy solutions is really much less than the typical approaches, and that technology are enabling enterprises like Citibank or Takeda to increase their transformation velocity, are also contributing seriously to reduce their tech debt and the TCOs of some of the solutions, and also the risk, because a lot of legacy systems are relying in old technologies, and there are a risk related with the skills available, and also the people that are available to work with that technology. So the modernization of the legacy using low code is one of the drivers that we are assisting today, as probably one of the more relevant, that are also in the base of a relevant transformation. And low code are increasingly being used as a key to tackle critical services and processes. and the utilization of low code in application modernization as part of a digital process automation when we design and deploy a new digital architecture is one of the drivers that most of our clients are using, are being pushed to use low code. Additionally, and very fast, we also see the need for speed in transformation innovation, as Yao mentioned it, as a clear goal for every business, not only for pharma. So organizations want to transform it faster, safer, and in a relevant way for their customers, and local platforms could make it simple to build enterprise-grade applications fast. At the same time, bridging the talent gap with the high-tech professionals, also enabling some new group of developers, citizen developers, internal business developers, whatever we can call it, to accelerate that. And last but not least, to deploy automation. We have been assisting, also related with the evolution of some of the low-code high-performance platforms. We are seeing a lot of companies using low-code technology to accelerate digital process automation, because that platforms are capable to truly transform complex processes, or also automating large big pieces of work that require a combination of multiple technologies, and local platforms are being using also to do that, to be the combination. In some articles, this is being called composable architectures, and low code are the glue for that composable architecture. So there is a broad scope of utilizations of the technology that are being pushed by the really the ones that take the advantages from that. That is people like Ben and Yao that are on the stage for make all of this terminology and acronyms like that us consultants use in something that makes sense and really actionable. So this is my opinion, Ralph.
No, thank you, Rui. And I'm just gonna get a view from Yao on this one. But I remember also, Rui, some of your colleague Natalie mentioned that that really low code was a way of testing before investing, especially from business user, really being able to have to a kind of conceptual design or model which is guided by nature, because ultimately these are predefined, trying to guide you the right way. More and more controls, risk governance is embedded also in this platform, and really for user really to think big initially, have a big vision, but start small with these platforms and then scale fast. And that's what really maybe those platforms can help you, because of it's again well governed, well structured, more and more robust, and absolutely scaling fast. Yeah, what's your view on this, or again in general the drivers?
Well, I do think your first comment about starting small, because the thing is that what I realized after 20 years in IT is IT can't do everything, right? We have finite resources, and every year, the CFO will come in and say that why you are so many people, right? and the fact is that with the new generation, these are the digital native generation. They know how IT works. It's not like during my early days, right, where not everybody start work with a computer, right? With paper and pen. But now people are not interested in doing paper and pen and doing bookkeeping. They wanted to involve in the technology implementation. That's one. It's about talent retention. The second thing is that probably this is the IT thing. IT is scared to fail, right? Because once we talk about like a project, it's like multi-million project, right? There's no such thing. Well, now with Agile and things like that, there's such thing that fail fast. But I think in this sense, working after 20 years, business minds, or if you're in a function in a business, you wanted to actually understand, because I don't understand what I don't understand. So I wanted to start a little bit first, right? And I do have like talent, which is just out of they're born with mobile phone, not like me, right? And they know how to actually do a bit of like click and drag and drop. And this will accelerate that understanding first. The second thing is that they know that the requirement that they think of, what is possible or what can be done by this particular platform. And this accelerate that fail fast mentality as well, right? Instead of getting like 100 over 1,000, 200,000 kind of consultants coming in and do for you, I'll do it myself to a level where, okay, now I need to do something more advanced than what we wanted. I know the potential of the platform. I Google it because this is my interest. And then I will build on top of it. And that's when it became like a project, a bigger program. And I can see that now I would say that being in multiple companies, Takeda has this ninja program which generate that kind of mindset. And the whole organization changed, right? It's not IT doing the IT work, it's everybody is responsible for digital. And once is mature enough or is good enough to be scaled up, it's something that IT will step in. And this what I will call it a digital transformation, right? Because now everybody felt responsible and everybody can do. Of course, we have some guidelines. You don't go and buy something and try to implement it yourself. We have already a plethora of like a catalog of platform that you can actually build on top, like RPA. UiPath we have, right? UiPath can do process mining, process task mining, and RPA, and so on, right? Like Power BI, Power Automate. Well, it will be a challenge later to consolidate it back, but at least now the users start to get a bit of responsibility to understand. In fact, this is a real discussion, right? Someone actually, we wanted to, there's a business problem. We wanted to actually build something for the user to select preferred supplier. And that is not in my the top 10 big rocks that I'm going to deliver this year. So hence, my resources from IT perspective is assigned to attack the top 10. And the user said that okay, give me the access to SharePoint. Let me do something, create something, and I'll come back to you. And the fact is, they come back and say that this is how I wanted. This is how it looks like. And I want a bit of AI behind that to allow some mapping of the user behavior in using preferred vendor solution. I was genuinely pretty impressed, right? I don't have resources to do that, but they are able to do in a way until they can visualize and they know. And this then changed my priority list. Right? Because now you have a ready, not ready product, 25% ready product, but at least I know that this is going to happen. Instead of going into design thinking, try to map up again the whole process, we already have something inbuilt and the users or the requirement is already known. So hence, I do think that this is definitely accelerating our digital transformation.
No, thank you. Ben, coming to you, a question, yeah. How does low code fit into personal, and by personal I mean citizen developer at the task automation level versus business or enterprise-wide solution development? How do you see low code? Where does it fit in one of these two, in the middle, or?
I think in the beginning it was polar opposites. Right? So, low code. So I should clarify firstly that I've always actually been in operations rather than technology, right? And that was actually one that when people ask me about our journey on this, I'm quite often start with pointing out that actually one of the massive benefits of low code for me personally and for us, I think, as an organisation, is that you can drive it from, and in some respects, it's better to drive it from an operational perspective, because it's about the process, and it's just another way of improving the process, and which you might otherwise have looked at by lean or some other tool. So, having said that, the reason why I say that at this point is because when we first started looking at RPA, which is our first low code solution, if you like, there was very much a positioning between the core enterprise technology platforms and system owners, being very scornful of this technology that is dangerous and can intervene and cause the process to go wrong, if you like. Versus on the other side, the excitement in the operational domain around, well, now I've got the ability to actually do something myself and influence my own process, right? So there was a lot that we did in the first few years around trying to effectively just kind of close that communication gap almost by trial and error, because once you start with your first few RPA use cases, and if you can get the dialogue open with the core enterprise technology system owners, etc., it's pretty glaringly obvious what low code solutions at that point in time could do versus what they couldn't do and what they can intervene with. And a lot of the concerns that were being expressed were around supportability, which is valid, the ability for the bots to go crazy and just start doing random things in the process that people wouldn't expect, which of course we know with more understanding of the technologies, you can very easily prevent that circumstance happening. But then the kind of the critique would come back that, well, the use cases are so limited, then what's the point? You might as well do it in the core technology in the first place. At which point you then go full circle. But if I could do it in the core technology, then I wouldn't need low code in the first place, right? So now, having said that whole conversation has matured very much over the years. So to a point, actually, even just this week, Citi just announced that we've partnered with a few other peer firms to launch an industry-level platform in a low-code tool, which would have been absolutely inconceivable, back then, because there wouldn't have been the appetite for our enterprise solutions. People like me wouldn't actually have been able to visualize the fact that you can use these types of technologies for genuinely platform type performance. And frankly, at the time, we probably couldn't have done, because we didn't have the right controls, we didn't have the right change management protocols around it. And we spent a lot of time building those change management functions in hubs around the world, so actually we can give people the ability to access these tools and technologies. But from a change management perspective, from support, from upgrade, all those types of things that come with it, we can manage that in exactly the same way as we manage our core technology platforms. And it took us a while to kind of get there, if you like, in terms of the understanding of how to do it. But now we're in I think a very sort of mature state with that conversation that it can be done and is being done, and the question now is just how to leverage it more.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think we touch during those interviews with leaders something, I think, a common theme around data. I think clearly many of them highlighted that really to get the most from low code, fix your data is probably the first step, or ensure that your data is accurate, complete, is actually was I'm not going to say a prerequisite, but definitely a key enabler for scaling later on. And also one of the study we did recently on what we call HFS Research Pulse study also revealed that many European executives, roughly 43%, still see their data capabilities as a weakness in their modernization journey, in their also ability to quickly leverage automation, make the most out of it. Yeah, do you believe or do you firmly believe that before actually getting the most of low code, you need to fix your data? And from your organization perspective, what has been the challenges around data?
Definitely. If I don't say it is a challenge, I think I'm lying,
Maybe our data is perfect, no? Structured, unstructured, everything is perfect, no?
Especially in a global organization. Don't say Takeda, my previous company as well. Data is like the thing, the key I would say, big rocks that we need to resolve, right? Because the thing is that, for example, how do you define a sales? Right? It's already that it will take 2 months to talk about it in any organization, right? Yes, it's definitely a challenge, and it's very important for us it is a first step. Like, for example, now we are doing well, a lot of activity around procure to pay process, and the first thing that we talk about is that how we're going to get the data. Is the data trustable? Where is the single source of truth? How do we build hypothesis around the data that which we can actually get to, right? The challenge that we always have is that the data availability. So there's a lot of data available, but we cannot access it for whatever reason, right? In order for us to go and get approval for accessing the right data at the right time by the right people, it takes a lot of understanding, because the organization is trying to understand what are the data that we could actually make available for the people, for the citizen developers to work on, right? Because there are some data that is supposed to be sensitive, well, depending on who you talk to and which level that you talk to. And that is actually one of the key discussion that we are having today, right? Well, we start with P2P, and P2P is a very simple process. If you go deeper into like R&D kind of discussion, that will be a bit more difficult. So how do we get data from Ariba, for example? Because we are using a lot of SaaS system, and sometimes getting data out of SaaS system is not as direct as it advertised, right? They said, oh, you can actually use the API and get whatever data you wanted. 70%, yes. But in order for us to finish that particular initiative, we need 100%. We cannot have 70%, right? How do we close the gap for 30%? That is the main challenge that we are having today, right? Very simple, just very simple data, like for example, timestamp. People will ask you, why do you need a timestamp? Yeah, because I need to know how long is the transaction. I need to measure it, right? Okay, that is not available in the API because we never thought of people wanted the timestamp in the API. Huh? And the user will say that what we're going to do now? We can't measure. How can we know that the automation is doing well? Okay, and these are the data availability, data access, single source of truth. Where do we get the data is actually the key. Well, I would say challenges that we are on the first stage, right? And we always talk about that first. If we don't get that right, let's not talk about like which platform, right? Let's
And Ben, I mean, you coming from a highly regulated industry, banking, pharma, I'm sure you get the same challenges and maybe more, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's a very practical challenge that the solutions just don't work without complete data, of course. But there's also the point around the security of it, the segregation of it, the quality of it, even if the data is complete, right? So, and again, one things that we found with low-code tools and others, as you kind of work up the sort of the fintech stack, if you like, is that you can actually use these tools to improve the quality of that data, and also to of course bring in those data sets from different places, so that you can then complete the singular data set that you need. So, of course, our data, well, unlike my esteemed colleague, our data is perfect, so we didn't have any problems there. which is not true. I'm joking. But our data is broadly based around the storage of it in warehouses and hubs, etc. And ultimately, when we're talking about a transactional business process, none of those places contain the full set of data that we need. So there's a big place there to have something which actually brings together and joins that data in an automated, reliable way, which I think is where some of the low-code products over time have matured to, so they can actually be used ultimately as that glue between some of our strategic data strategy solutions.
Thank you. I mean, Rui, coming back to you. So obviously, the companies embarking on low code, on large transformation can't do this by themselves. Yeah, I think they need support from service providers, experts out there. What role can a partner play in really helping a company's low code adoption? And what role you, in general, KPMG is playing in that space?
Okay. Yeah, in fact it's a very good topic. Our way to position about this local topic, it's not quite different from the other services that we provide. At the end, we don't sell low code. Our business is to help our clients to transform their businesses, and we want to help them to do that in a relevant, efficient, and secure way. So we are proposing low code adoption to enable that. And internally, we have been building the right capabilities and acquiring the right skills to deliver it efficiently. To be a little bit more detailed, in KPMG, we call KPMG Connected the Enterprise, the way we digitally transform our clients. It's an industry-specific and customer-centric approach. This approach focuses in every critical process, function, and relation on the business, on meeting customer expectations, but also to creating value and driving sustainable growth in this digital world that we live today. And the relevant transformation that needs to be tied to that needs to be done perfectly in the perfect way, in an accelerated pace, and there are much more than technological decisions and adoptions that needs to be done. In a nutshell, we are putting low code as part of our toolbox to enhance what we already done. Because when we deliver services with low code or our low code services, we are not delivering technology. We are helping our clients to improve their customers' experience, their operating models, also their business model, and that goes much beyond building great apps or digitizing operations as is with a new RPA. We are need to embed them industry skills, knowledge about the client, process skills. When we use low code to build connected processes that allows our clients to solve their silos or pillars between the offline and the online world, delivering streamlined experiences for their clients, it's much more than lines of code. It needs deep industry expertise, and at the end, the technology that we use, it's only one step on the way. When we use our clients' projects and our skills to deliver our projects, our clients demands that the transformations needs to be secure. And providing technology, security, compliance, assurance, and data governance through a risk-based approach, it's much more than deliver a low-code platform. So we use low-code technology to materialize and deliver our connected vision and framework to our clients. We help our clients to select and adopt low-code platforms, not to have an additional tool on their architecture, but also to help them to use low code to become a strategic tool bench from which they can drive through large-scale digital transformation, but also build non-mission critical applications and specific functional applications. Taking in consideration that, and based also in what I said earlier, from the beginning in our projects and our engagements, we evaluate how to translate a strategic view into a transformation roadmap that are delivered by technology implementation. And we are using low code to do that. To be more general, low code adoption is one of the ways we in KPMG we are making also to enhance our services, as the ones that I mentioned before. Several consulting services that we are using to provide tangible results, and also a final piece in something that we can call the transition from consulting to resulting in a commerce. But it's really what we are trying to achieve with this low-code technology.
Thank you.
Make that for our clients.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Rui. And I know we're almost there with time. One final question to each one of you, and just if you give any advice, just one, I would say, yeah, in the interest of time, any advice you could offer to a technology or business leader on adopting, who is about to adopt low code in the organization? Just one. Ben, maybe we can start with you.
Sure. I think it's a bit like having a baby, right? There's no ideal time. So so you should absolutely go into it with your eyes open. We found a lot of benefit in being quite considered about the way that we did it. So not trying to please everybody with everything, but trying to be very thoughtful around the use cases that were truly going to add value from a business perspective. Mm-hmm. Recognizing the place of these types of technologies in the strategic architecture, because they are strategic technologies, they can be used as that. And I think as best as possible, kind of managing the change process in as centralized a way, as close to traditional technologies as you can, because then that comes with all the right control standards and change protocols that don't seem like they're a problem at first, but they certainly will become a problem as those initiatives kind of expand to a greater scale. So yeah, those would be my kind of key points.
Thank you. Yao, I think it's not here, so maybe I mean, Rui, if you have just one piece of advice really to give to any tech or business leader.
Okay, to be very, very brief, as you requested, and despite the fact that the intention to use low code from the clients or from the companies are more tactical or more strategical one, I think the investment must be carefully evaluated and must be decided from the start. What is the role that that piece of technology will play on their architecture and how they serve their businesses? I mean, low code is an overabused expression that are being pushed by different ways for different purposes. The rationality of the investment must probably be taking in serious consideration from the start. Decide the role and decide the roadmap and decide the use cases where the platform will be used.
Well, thank you. I think there's been a great discussion, really unfiltered, which was great, and also you're really sharing from an enterprise client, Ben, Yao, and really the challenges, successes, what works, what doesn't really work. Rui, also you gave a bit of perspective of service provider, in that case KPMG, also how you're helping your clients on the journey, but also using that low code as a way also of changing the way you operate internally and servicing better your customer. Maybe a closing note, I would say, really low code purpose ultimately is to deliver value to the business. Yeah, it doesn't fix things that are not working. Yeah, it's not magic. And if it's not really driving any value creation from an employee, customer, partner perspective, it's probably another bad investment, yeah, and really bad investment of time or money. Also, what we really highlighted is really low code is not a tech. Yeah, it's not a technological enabler that you come on, put in there, and suddenly it changed the way you develop or you build apps in a way more proactive manner. Yeah, I think low code is actually becoming maybe a culture change enabler, where you're gonna start putting out way more people, yeah, non-IT people into start using technology. Yeah, it's become really a translator into the world of tech for people who are not really technologists by nature. And yeah, but again, it's not an easy road. There are quite a lot of challenges, complexity in addressing really the real business challenges, embedding really low code. And I think, yeah, definitely it's not something that goes without challenges, but definitely those challenges can be, yeah, circumvented by probably planning properly that journey. And yeah, so I understand really from your feedback that low code is probably everyone needs maybe to start today, yeah, the effort. But also it's very important to think how low code complement the existing architecture. Coming to you, Ben, around business IT architecture, and also how does it fit ultimately into your software development program, governance, security. We didn't touch base on this, but that's also probably form of the embedding, yeah, low code into existing practices. And yeah, so I think that's been great. Probably there's going to be part 2. Yeah, I think there's been a lot to discuss yet. And thank you, Ben, a lot for being part of this conversation. Rui, thanks a lot also for providing your view. Unfortunately, Yao is not here, but again, great feedback from Yao. And yeah, thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And yeah, and let's talk soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.